You're under arrest under Statute 3.7 in the International Paranormal Containment Agreement, Vampire Protocol. You're required to report to the nearest processing facility in Bucharest. If you are failed to report within the next 12 hours, you will be. He lunged for me, sidestepping. I let him trip over a low gravestone. I'll kill you, he hissed, trying to pick himself up off the ground. Yeah, you really don't want to do that. That shiny new piece of jewelry I gave you? It's got two little sensors. Think of them as needles jammed into your ankle. And if your body temperature were to suddenly rise, say by the addition of human blood, the sensor would inject you with holy water. His eyes widened in horror as he tried to pull the bracelet off, scraping against its sides. Don't do that either. If the seal is broken, holy water, poof, got it. I did Paranormalcy by Kiersten for my book talk. Paranormalcy is about a girl named Evie who is a teenager in a paranormal containment unit. What she does is she goes out and she hunts paranormals. And she's been doing this for her entire life. But what happens is someone breaks into her unit and tries to find information about paranormals because they were starting to turn up dead and no one knew why. And it was this big frantic conflict between the paranormals and the unit because Evie somehow either is the reason that paranormals are ending up dead or she's the way to fix it. And she doesn't know how.
How does the main conflict affect the protagonist?
The main conflict affects the protagonist because Evie turns out, she finds out that she's a paranormal. So she's grouped in class 7, which is the highest paranormal there is. And she doesn't understand why she'd be hunting paranormals if she was a paranormal. And this kind of changes how she looks at paranormals. She sees them as, this is who I am. These are who I'm supposed to be around. So she tries to get away from the unit. But she still has to figure out how she has to deal with the paranormals ending up dead. And that kind of starts to challenge who she is as a person.
Who is the character you think you can connect most to?
I think I connect to most to Evie because she's a very sassy teenager. She's very independent because she's the only teenager in her unit. And she starts, after a while at the unit, she starts to find a sense for herself as like who she is and how she interacts with her community. And she also connects to a TV show that's very dramatic. And she just has a very sassy attitude that I really enjoy. What are you doing? I hissed. I looked over at Lend. He was staring at the TV, oblivious. Then I glanced at Vivian. You shouldn't be here. I just love how sassy she is and how the author portrays that in what she does and how she talks.
Why did you choose this book?
I chose this book because it was recommended to me by someone. I don't typically read this kind of book. I'm not into paranormals like werewolves, vampires, fairies. It's just not what I like. But this book also brought in mystery, crime, psychology, which I really liked because it connects to the characters, how independent they are, but also how reliant they are on each other. And I really enjoyed that. I also really enjoyed how the author brought in imagery.
Would you recommend this book to other people since it was recommended to you?
I would recommend this book to people just because it has so much to it, and it could go with any type of book, like crime, mystery, science fiction, anything most people are interested in.
My last question is, what would you rate this book and why?
I would rate this book a 5 out of 5 because it's so dramatic and I just like how the characters are. His face went ice cold and he smiled. You cannot last on your own, my love. You will need more and then you'll become what you're meant to be. When that happens, I'll forgive you. He turned and walked through a door in the wall. I just really like how the characters interact. Like, some are very dramatic, but it also brings out the dramatic side in others. So, that's Paranormalcy.